If you love Baltimore sports, you'll love WNST.net.
It is another fantastic season of Purple Love. We're up in Carroll County where everybody wears purple. Give it up at Green Mountain Station. We got Steve Smith out here tonight. Should be a good time. Steve, you feeling loquacious tonight? You feel like you got your salad here? I mean, you're a healthy guy, right?
What's loquacious?
That means you talk a lot. Yeah. So today, Steve, I met Steve, how many years ago were you at Block? Was that 04, 05? What year was that?
I think when the Panthers were good, that was like 05.
05, okay. So did you get hurt to win that? What happened that allowed you to win that?
I broke my ankle and I tore the ligaments in my ankle, the inside and outside of my ankle, in which they rolled up the ligaments, so they had to unroll them, and then surgically repair them, and then put a plate on my ankle, and so.
That doesn't sound like fun.
No, it wasn't.
Was that the worst thing that's ever happened to you playing football?
No, I broke my forearm twice, and then a couple of years ago I split my web in the middle of my finger.
Ow!
And before the
That's a tough game, man. Football.
Yeah, before the New Orleans game, actually that week I had dislocated my finger where it came out of the bottom, so I had to put it back in.
Brian Baldinger's my buddy. He's got he's got that thing. Yeah, he's coming on the show tomorrow. Yeah, he's out here.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's his claim to fame. But so Baltimore Ravens, man, look at you. Is this what you expected? I guess from a town where they won a Super Bowl a year and a half ago. I mean,
it's been great. It's everything is different. It's a different organization. It's amazing to watch how I've always told young guys that you're an independent contractor that can only work in 31 other cities. And so having the opportunity to travel to other cities, you really don't get a glimpse of how good or how bad an organization is until you're actually an employer and you get to see the day-to-day routines and the day-to-day operations. And man, I cannot appreciate where I am today if I didn't experience the things in Carolina, which I enjoy. But man, it's pretty nice to kind of see how they do it on the other side. Sometimes they always say it's not always greener pastures on the other side.
Of course.
But man, all I need is a patch of grass, and I'm pretty happy.
Well, we got a patch of grass downtown for you on Sunday here to get it going. So, for you making this move in Carolina, and you went through several regimes there. One ownership group, but good times,
yep.
Super Bowl, bad times, really bad times, drafting a #1 quarterback, playing with a veteran quarterback, and Jake. I mean, it feels like you went through 3 or 4 seasons there, and kind of the same way Ray Lewis did here, but the Ravens never really bottomed out. At the beginning they weren't very good with Ray, but Ray didn't have to live through a lot of 4-12s and 5-11s and like that, and I guess when you're in the league that long, I guess unless you're Tom Brady, you don't go 12-4 every year. I mean, it's just, that's an anomaly to be in an organization that never loses. Everyone experiences high and low.
Yeah, I mean, it is different, but it's also nice because as you go through those, you learn things about yourself. You learn what you're capable of, what you're not capable of, what your threshold is, and whatever it is, good or bad. And so I learned a lot about myself, but I also enjoyed some great times with teammates, even during the losing seasons, because you get to discover some things about them and about yourself. And so when you come here, now that I come here, I get to give all kind of advice on different areas because I've been on every part of the spectrum. I've been injured for a year. I've gotten hurt during the middle of the season. I've went through, contract negotiations. I've potentially almost held out. I've been through all those things to be able to say, hey, I don't speak as I'm better than you. I speak from the experience or watching other guys go through, and if I may see something that may be able to direct them to be put in a position where they don't look as bad or don't have to experience what that end result will be publicly or business-wise,
sure.
Then I'll try to help them in some way.
So you have this, reputation. You've been in the league forever. You come here. You're the veteran guy. Have guys in this locker room right away reached to you based on the stripes that you have?
I mean, yeah, a lot of guys ask me questions, but then there's also a point where I have to be careful because, you know, one of the things that can come across is, you know, when being an older player, you can give a perception to a young guy that young guy doesn't know. One of the things that I remember, one guy asked me a question, I gave him a response. He goes, "What do you know about that?" Because the guy that he sees today is a guy who's played for 14 years.
Sure.
Who saved his money. So when he looks at me, he thinks, well, I could be just like that. But, you know, there's things that I've done that I can do at 14 that I only started doing it 10 or 11 years into the league.
Sure.
And so he thinks that, oh, if Steve is doing it, then I can do it. No, I had to, you know, I had to earn that. I had to save up for that. And so some of those are the little
What's
things.
the wisdom experience thing, right?
Yeah.
The only way to get the experience and the wisdom is to fail or have problems or make mistakes. That's
Exactly.
what life's all about.
You know, so there's little things that I'll do, and I say, you know, well, these are the reasons why I can do it, because, you know, I drive this type of car because it took me 10 years to get that car, versus a guy who comes out, he buys the car and he goes, oh, I can do it. No, you can't. You know, what you have right now is temporary. You know, it's temporary.
Sure.
You know, especially after Uncle Sam gets his cut. And
well, in 18 years of seeing this, the one thing I've noticed is players do come and go, and it happens quickly. I mean, I'm
fast.
46 now.
It's like players come and go like a fire in California. You know, before you know it, it's burning up 200 acres.
When you think about how many players you played with in Carolina, you know, over 13, 14 years.
Honestly, if I go where you count every single guy that just was a receiver that I've played with, even the guys that repeat. So in every training camp for 13 years, there has been, every training camp, there's 12 receivers.
So
12 receivers.
Okay.
Every year. So this 12 were Kamar, Laquan, Mike Campano, myself, Torrey, Jacoby, Marlon, Jeremy Butler,
Deontay Thompson.
You
don't leave anybody out.
Shep,
Sure.
Gerard Shepard, and we had some other guys at the release. So 12 guys. This year we've carried 6. Usually we only carry 5. And then there's usually a practice squad guy or an injured player. So we carry 12 guys just over 10 years. That means repeated, I've played with 120 guys.
That's just in your room. That's just in the receiver room. How many quarterbacks? It's got to be 15 or 20 quarterbacks.
There's some quarterbacks. I mean, they go into camp, every camp, 3 quarterbacks. You go in there with 3 quarterbacks, they cut one, they usually put them on practice squad, and they have a starter and a backup. Well, I've had where they cut the 3rd guy and bring in a totally different practice squad guy. So, you know, it just...
Not for long.
Yes, not for long.
Not for long.
But, you know, our business is no different than any other business because, you know, it's performance-based. If you can cope with it, understand it, then you're going to do well. If you can't, then they will and shall bring in somebody that can, and if that next person can't, they'll bring in somebody else. And to be honest, being an NFL football player is not money-wise, but playing-wise, is like being an entry-level employee, because once you are not able, or you are not able to do it, or you don't do it up to par, they replace you. They replace you quick.
That's what the Combine's about every year.
Yeah.
Every single year. Steve Smith's with us, and we're out here at Green Mountain Station 10 years ago at Ed Block, and we hung out a little bit, and then about 2 years later, you came. By the way, I played some NST Classic last week. You sat at my table in Detroit with Kevin Byrne, who you now know as the Vice President of the Ravens for Media Relations, and you guys did like a 30-minute interview with me at the Super Bowl, not knowing, because he knew Charlie Dayton really well, and they were best friends. And he sat with you and said good things about you. I ran that last week as part of the Classic thing. Then you came to town. And veteran guy comes to town, and as you said, you saved your money, you've made money. And I said, well, does he want to do a radio show? And your agent called me, and I said, why would Steve Smith want to come to Baltimore and come out to Hampstead to Green Mountain Station on a Wednesday night during the week and do a show? I said, it's not for the money. I mean, I can't pay him enough to do it. He said, I want to come out and talk about life and talk about things and talk about stuff that's not football. So we're not going to do all football tonight. We're going to be doing this every other week for the next 16 weeks all over town and talking about stuff. But when we talk about other things, the first thing I talked to you about when you got here was Africa, right? I mean, and this was not a one-time trip to Africa.
I love to travel.
Was that the most rewarding trip for you? Like when you, I've been all over the world too. I mean, I did Australia and Fiji with my wife this year. We did Tahiti last year. I've been through South America. I've been through Europe. Haven't done Africa yet, and that's my wife's bucket list thing. And as you know, my wife's been struggling with cancer and has beaten cancer. We're going to get to There Goes My Hero and all the swabbing tonight. But the number one thing on her bucket list is I've got to take her to safari. So I got to hear your safari story. So am I going to take her? Is it worth doing? Am I going to like it? I don't like flies. Just start with that.
No. You're going to like it. I mean, I've been after Africa. Was it Africa? No, actually after I went to China, I've been to all the continents.
I've been to China. I haven't been to Africa. Did you like China?
Mark it off my list. I was there 2 weeks.
Wouldn't go back. Did you go to Hong Kong or where'd you go?
I went to Shanghai and Beijing, and then from there I hung out in Istanbul, Turkey.
Okay.
And then from there I went to Kazakhstan. It was me, J.J. Watt, Champ Bailey.
And then where Borat's from? Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Went there, and then I did Afghanistan. So I was gone. That was last off season. So I was gone about 3.5 weeks.
Afghanistan, you did that.
The USO.
With the USO.
But I did it. They gave me an opportunity to do a USO, and I was going to China already, and so I had to choose. And then I was talking to my wife. She was like, "Just do it all since it'll be an easier flight." So I had 24 hours in Istanbul, because China and the thing. So I just did it. I love to travel. Like my whole desire is, I went on a mission trip of 2006, and over that way we stopped in Paris. And so I was like, man, if we stopping in Paris, I gotta.
Picture the Eiffel Tower.
I gotta do that.
Eat some cheese, drink some wine, right? Sure.
And so I did that, and from there, I was so growing up in Los Angeles. There's a lot of Latin American, and so when I was there, my grandparents always used to say, when back in the 80s, they say, a lot of people come to our country and they expect us to speak their language. Why don't they speak ours? And I remember that is because when I was in Paris.
I know where you're going with this.
I was going, man, why doesn't anybody speak English? And it dawned on me and realized I was doing the exact same thing that people in California was doing. So it just kind of showed me how big the world is and how small we are and how ignorant we are.
There's no doubt
about
that.
So from there, my desire to see how other people live and see how they do it. And so I've been all the way from Paris to Australia to China, all the way to where I've baptized my kids in the Jordan River in Israel. So I've been everywhere.
Wow. You take your kids everywhere, family everywhere?
We travel as a family.
Did your whole family go to Afghanistan?
No, because that was on the base.
Okay.
So, but I'm set to do a football camp in Germany, actually.
Nice. That's where my wife's daughter's from.
Really?
From Germany?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be something?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. Steve Smith's out here tonight. We're at Green Mountain Station talking about traveling. I got to get to the food thing in the next segment. I got to get Eric Sauer up here from There Goes My Hero. We're going to talk about swabbing and saving lives tonight, which isn't football, but it's important.
Yeah.
It's a very important thing. Steve Smith's with us. Give it up for him, number 89, in your program, number 1 in your heart. Learn more about Carolina. This is going to be an interesting season. I thought you were going to be giving me a hard time. I was all prepared for you to be, rough on me.
Why?
I don't know.
You're such a victim.
See, that's what I was expecting right there. On that note, we'll step out and take a break. You're listening to WNST Towson, Baltimore, WNST.net. All part of our live series on Wednesday night. Steve Smith hanging out, talking love and hope and sex and dreams and football and travel and food and football and all that stuff. Next, after this.
If you love Baltimore sports, you'll love WNST.net.